Buonasera. Today we are going to be talking about how you're going to end up making phrases like this correctly in Italian. So let's talk about what's going on. Mistakes that I noticed when getting my students, to do things like this. Honestly, there are a lot. Okay, there's a lot going on here, and I just want to unpack how this phrase actually is broken down and how you can start using sentences like this confidently in your Italian. Okay, what you're going to get in this video, you're going to get me explaining it, you're going to get just a list of what to study, how to study it, and as well a couple of ways that I can help with that. Okay, now the process, of learning Italian, I'm just going to talk a little bit about beginner to how we get to making a phrase like tu ti sei alzato. You're probably going to start off learning the present tense, okay? Now here, there's really a couple of things to remember. So if you have a phrase like io mangio, I eat, okay, you need to remember that the mangio part is the io version. You're talking about I eat, io mangio. And you need to remember that in order to make that, you stick an O on the end. Okay, so you need to know how to conjugate a verb in its basic sense. Okay, then when you kind of go on to look at the past tense, you broaden that a little bit. You go to io ho mangiato. Okay, here there's a bit more stuff to remember. You need to remember to add the avere, the o, into your phrase. You need to remember to change the ending to ato when you're talking about the past tense, and you need to remember which version corresponds to io. Okay, now if we take it the next step further to look at reflexive verbs, something like tu ti alzi, again, you've got a few different things to remember. You need to remember to change the ending of the verb, corresponding to who you're talking about. You need to remember to add the reflexive pronoun, blah, 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 and how to conjugate that. Okay, finally, as the example in the thumbnail, the past reflexive verbs are even worse. So we have this whole mouthful of tu ti sei alzato. Okay, now I'm going to give a big asterisk here. These pronouns here, io and tu, you don't technically need these when you speak. Okay, when I teach, especially when I teach beginners, I like to include it just so people remember. Well, for example, let's look at io mangio, so that people remember that the mangio is the io version of mangiare in the present tense, so they don't confuse it with mangi, mangia, mangiamo, etc. So you can, knock off my count of things to remember by one for each of these if you like. But I just wanted to illustrate that it does grow in complexity as you're getting on your Italian. Okay. Now, where this becomes challenging is in switching contexts. Okay, so when we speak, of course, we are sometimes using the present tense, we're sometimes using the past tense, we're sometimes using reflexive verbs, and sometimes, yes, we need to make reflexive verbs in the past tense. Let me give you an example. Okay, here is a pretty natural conversational paragraph that you might say or encounter in a textbook. So let's read it out. Stamattina mi sono svegliato tardi, mi sono lavato in fretta e adesso mi sto preparando il caffè, mentre mia sorella mi dice che domani si alzerà presto per fare colazione con me. Ieri invece ci siamo addormentati subito dopo cena e non ci siamo preparati niente per la mattina. Così oggi dobbiamo arrangiarci. So, sorry, I know I read that quite quickly, but the thing that I just wanted to show you is each of these different colors is a different tense in Italian. So back here, when I was talking about all this stuff, each of these is a different tense. And this is a fairly normal, I think, thing that you would say in Italian. So really, you do kind of need to know how to use all of these if you want to be fluent. And yeah, you need to go up those different levels. Now, in terms of what to study, I want to give you just a short path of what you can actually go ahead and do, which looks something like this. Okay, so if you want to study the present tense, just go on YouTube and Google and search presente indicativo conjugation. Okay, past tense, okay, passato prossimo explained, and you can have a look at the rest. So just type these in and you should be able to get a good explanation of these. Of course, I am a small YouTube channel. If you do want me to make a video on any of these, just let me know. I didn't want to do it and then, it kind of be extra or necessarily long video. But if you want me to make a video on these, just let me know in the comments. Okay, so that's what to study. Now, if you go ahead and study all of these, you should be able to pretty confidently switch between these with some practice. Okay, now speaking of practice, let's have a look. What you could do first, okay, this is a great exercise, is you could just pick a verb. Okay, any verb you want. It could be mangiare, lavare, pagare, camminare, capire, leggere, estendere, whatever you want. And just go through and conjugate it in the present tense. So you would end up with something like this. Io mangio, tu mangi, lui mangia, blah, blah, blah. Okay? If this is, new for you, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. But then just go ahead and watch Presente Indicativo Conjugation anywhere on YouTube. Come back and this will make sense. Okay? Once you've done that, you take the same verb and you look at it in the past tense. After that, you look at the same verb and move on to a different tense. So what you can do is you can take any verb, maybe once a day, once a week, whatever you need to do. Once a week probably isn't enough, but you get the picture. You can take a verb, just map it out in each of the tenses. Okay? In order to, of course, use your words and your verbs in sentences and paragraphs like this, you will need to obviously know how to form them. So make sure you get some practice conjugating verbs like this. Okay? And a great way to do that, right on cue, is to try the grammar practicer that I have made to try and solve this problem. Okay, so it's a very basic practicer right now. This is what it looks like. It's up on the internet. I'll leave the link in the description. As you can guess, you just click on the tense you want to practice. So let's go present tense. It'll throw out the table of the verbs here for you. And then you can go ahead and just put in your answer. You could just submit your things at the bottom, and it will tell you what your scores are. Obviously, it's quite, just my solution to try and help practice some of these verbs, okay? Because I know they can be quite tricky. Made it myself, so I hope it is useful for you. You can give that a go in the description. Similarly, okay, if reading is a bit more your thing, you can sign up to my email list. I'm going to put that in the description as well. I'm just going to basically send out some emails with some tips and tricks in order to learn Italian. So if that's your thing, then have a look at that. In any case, happy practicing. I hope your Italian goes well, and I will see you very soon.